Good afternoon. Welcome to Mentorship Monday. Thank you for joining us once again. Mentorship Monday is a program where we sit down and we talk to our mentors who are part of the Inspire Mentorship program. And we just want to talk about their careers and their professional development, how they got to where they are, and what their plans for the future are. So today I have my very good friend, Seboka Mokone. I'm very excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I'm excited because we're going to talk about motherhood as one of the topics today because we just had a thing, where her child had to go. So it's quite interesting to always see career women juggling
Yeah.
motherhood in the midst of everything. All right, so Seboka is a management accountant at First National Bank Lesotho. She has been with the bank for 8 years. She has experience in banking, in retail, business, commercial, legal and compliance, as well as finance. So she's pretty much down the rounds in banking, and I'm very excited to hear how she went like throughout the whole bank basically, and just some of the things she's been up to in her career. So, Sabuka, how are you? Welcome to the show. So,
Thank
please tell
you.
us more about yourself and how you got into banking.
Thank you so much for having me here. Um, how I got into banking is immediately after getting my transcripts from school, I applied on the last day. It was the very first job that I ever applied for in my life, and it was the very first job that I ever got.
What did you study?
I studied become accounting. So there were a lot of posts. I think FNB was about to open a branch in Mafete. So there were a lot of posts. I didn't know some of them. I don't know what they meant, but I just applied. And I applied on the last day, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how I got into banking. It wasn't.
And before we even get into banking now, how did you get to study accounting? Why did you study accounting out of all the things you could have studied in the world?
I mean, like anybody else, I don't really think I wanted to study accounting in the beginning. But then I remember a friend of mine showing me this guy who was driving this nice car, and then he told me that this guy is a CA, he has a lot of money and all of that. So I thought, okay, maybe I should study accounting. And then I did. I studied accounting. It was purely to say I never ever want to lack financially ever in my life.
Yeah.
So, and also I was good in accounting, not so much in mathematics, but really, really, I did really well in accounting. So, if I had chosen anything else, I think I could have chosen something in physics or chemistry because I was just as good in that as well. Yes, so that's
So
how I
it's-
got into accounting.
So it's interesting because that's exactly how I studied accounting. I didn't know what to study. And then, like, out of the, like, I mean, I spoke about how I wanted to study medicine, but then I didn't really apply and stuff like that. So later on, when I got to varsity, I kept on trying to decide what do I want to study. And then somebody said, if you do accounting, you make a lot of money. And that's how I got to, whether that is true, that's a story for
Yeah.
another day. All right, so then you got into banking. Okay, what was the interview process like? So yeah, you're applying for this job. You don't even know what the job is. What was that whole experience like for you?
It was interesting actually. I literally did not know what to expect. So I went in and I was blank. But I guess that's what made it really special for me because I was answering from a place of nothing to refer
Authenticity,
to,
yeah.
authenticity. Like I was just being myself and tackling the questions as I would apply them in real life, I guess. So that's mainly I think why I got the job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So now you are in banking, and as I read your profile, you've done quite a lot. You've been in a lot of departments within banking. Tell us about that experience.
I've always wanted to be in finance. Obviously, I studied accounting, so I thought it would be fitting for me to be in finance. But for the most part, when you apply for a job and it's your first job, you don't have any experience whatsoever. You're just thinking, okay, so if I'm in a bank, they deal with money. Obviously, there's going to be some level of accounting that's applied. But when I applied, my first job ever was as a client service representative. I was opening accounts. And it was quite comfortable. It was easy to grasp the concepts and what was needed of me. And like in 2 years' time, I was bored. And then I decided to apply for something else. So I applied for business banking and I got the job. I loved it so much. I really enjoyed it. I mean, before I got a job when I was still in varsity, I was doing financial records for small upcoming enterprises that were seeking facilities from banks. I didn't even know what that was about.
Yeah.
But my clients would come and say, okay, so I'm looking to get a loan for whatever. And then when I got to business banking, I realized that, oh, so this is where the financials are going. And I realized the mistakes that I was making, the things that how they even got the facilities, I don't know. But hey. So yes, that was an interesting space for me. I loved it so much. I moved around a lot within business banking. I did SME, I did high touch commercial, I did Chinese portfolio. So I got to learn a lot and I got to analyze a diverse group of financial statements from different industries. So that was quite interesting for me. And that's really what triggered me moving into finance. Yeah.
And these different types of experiences that you had in different departments, do you feel like they added value in any way in your role in finance, or do you feel like I could have just gone to finance directly?
I mean, I embraced my journey so much because I realized that everything that I've been doing was painting a picture that I did not have a view of through finance. I mean, you're like an artist that is painting but don't see the end result because you are not in that space. And I believe that everything has prepared me for this moment where I am right now. And I'm very grateful for that. And I call myself an all-rounded financial professional.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is when you move from preparing financial statements to then sales, where you're selling, getting people to open accounts and doing all of that, and then moving on to analyzing the financial statements and moving into finance and seeing how all of that comes together.
Yeah.
It's part of this big picture that you were not privy to because you were not in that space. So everything that I've been doing was preparing me for this because now I see head on, full on what I have been doing all along in my life. So it's been one of the most interesting spaces that I've been in. Yes. And I'm happy to be in that space.
I like what you're saying. I feel like back when I was in auditing, right? I felt like a lot of trainees would struggle because they didn't see the bigger picture. So you were always given just a small part of the work to do. But obviously, as you progress, like in your second year, third year, as you progress through your career or whatever, then you start seeing the bigger picture. And I think, like I'm always trying to tell young people that you don't have to know it all now. Just trust the journey. If they come and they say, open accounts, it's okay. Do this. Eventually it will all come together. And I think we need to be comfortable with that, not being comfortable. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I love that. I love that it came together for you. All right. So when you reflect on when you were young, right? And you reflect on what you wanted to be when you grow up. Did you know what you want to be when you grow up? And do you feel like do you feel happy basically with where you are when you compared with when you were a young princess? Oh, I don't know if you're a princess. I was a tomboy. But you look like were you also a tomboy? Yeah. So what did you want to be when you grow up?
I wanted to be in fashion. Like I wanted to design clothes and I damaged so many of my clothes. But then I remember the one time where the former governor of the central bank had passed on, and then the flags were flying too low. There was something funny happening with the flags, so I wasn't aware of what was happening at the time. So I asked my mother, I showed her, and I was like, that can't be right. Somebody didn't do their job right. How is the flag flying like that? And then she was like, no, when somebody important in our country dies, that's how it happens, to reflect that the country is mourning. And she explained all of that and explained all of these important people who had passed on and where that had happened. So I was like, okay, so in this instance, who died? And she took out a 10 rand note and she showed me the signature and said, this is the person who had passed on. Oh, I remember it like it was so instinctively, because I always go back to that moment to say my journey it makes so much sense to me, you know? And then I remember saying, I want to sign my name on the money. I want to be the governor of Central Bank, you know? But the funny thing is, I never saw myself in banking. Like, you could be sent to a bank to do some withdrawals and do whatever, but I wasn't really paying attention because I never saw myself there. I thought for me to be the governor, I should be in Central Bank and I should do all of this. And it's so amazing how my journey is just step by step, slowly taking me towards, you know?
Wow.
It's just making so much sense. Like, how would you be the governor, the regulator of commercial banks if you know nothing about banking at all? So I started from like, it's still a dream, it's still in the pipeline. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get there, but it's still something that I want to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is so awesome. Guys, when she becomes governor, remember, you heard it here first, okay? But I like that. I like that. All right. So in terms of the different people that played a role in your career, would you say there are people that mentored you or formed a network of support, or, you know, do you have people that have supported you into getting where you are? And who are they and how did they have that impact on you?
I mean, of course, at every area that I've been in, I've had somebody that I would talk to about, okay, so if I'm opening accounts, where can I go from here? Do I need to talk to anybody? But in the beginning, it was just a matter of just applying and seeing if I can get in and doing well in an interview and getting the job. Until much later on, when I realized that sometimes you need to knock, physically just go to the person and say, like I did with finance. I literally went to the CFO, I wrote an email, and I asked that if there's an opportunity, an opening, if she would consider me, which she did.
Wow.
And then when I was in business banking, I met a whole lot of other people that I would talk to about my career, about the direction in which I wanted to take in my life. I approached a lot of people to mentor me, and some of them it would happen smoothly, some of them not so much. But I also met you. I mean, there's a whole lot of amazing things that you do. I've told you this before, like you get us thinking. you really get us thinking about our lives and the directions that we're taking and being intentional on daily basis with everything that you do. So there's like, I have like a formal mentor, and then everybody else is like self-appointed. I appointed them to be my mentors. They're not even aware.
They don't even do it.
But I go to them with whatever, honestly, whatever challenge that I come across, whatever move that I want to make. You know, I talk to them and I'll be like, okay, so what do you think about this? You know, you're also one of those people that I would drop a WhatsApp and say, okay, so, you know.
This is what I'm thinking.
Yes. So
why do you feel it's important for people to have these different people who are playing different roles in their lives, especially as it pertains to career development?
I've thought so much about this question, and I realized that a whole lot of us are thrust into situations that you didn't even want to be in the case. We're a product of our circumstances, a lot of us. I mean, you choose, a career chooses you. You don't get to choose it. That's the unfortunate part of our country and where we're growing up. You apply for any job that comes up and then you take it. And when you're there, it becomes such a nightmare. You don't know how to maneuver. You don't know how to carry yourself. You don't know how to conduct yourself. Because as it was the first job that came and you took it because you didn't have a choice. So when you're in that predicament, what then do you do? how do you make it conducive for you as much as you can,
Yeah.
so that you grow yourself, so that you become what is expected of you in that space, and it doesn't become this overbearing responsibility that you didn't even want in the first place, but because you needed to get a job, you needed to change situation at home for whatever reason that you took the job for. So it is very, very important to have people who are open to guiding young people who are new to their organizations, who are new to employment. Because trust me, like, we don't know what we're doing.
You can't make it alone.
No, you cannot
Yeah.
make it alone. You
Yeah.
need somebody holding your hand.
Yeah.
And I can think of, I'm not sure if there's anybody who can stand here and say, I am here and I made it on my own.
Yeah.
Somebody opened the door for you
Yeah.
to be where you
Yeah.
are. So it's important to do it for other people as well.
Yeah, what you say is so interesting. And you raised two very important points that I sort of want to reiterate. The first one is around a lot of us get into careers without any background knowledge of them. Like, I didn't know what a CA does. I didn't know what an auditor does. And I had a contract, like I had a scholarship and a training contract with an audit firm. And I had no idea. Even when I was doing auditing in university, I just couldn't grasp what auditing is because I didn't understand business. I was just like, I don't know what this is. And I feel like some people end up giving up along the journey. Like, they end up saying, okay, this is my life. I didn't choose it, but now I'm stuck, and they get depressed. Like, a lot of people were so depressed throughout like our training program. But what you're saying is that it happens like that to a lot of people. And it's all about how you frame the experience for yourself. Now that you're here, how can you create a support structure so that you can make something out of your career? And I know people that have actually gone into fashion out of being CAs. One of a lady that I know started working with a designer, fashion designer in South Africa, and helped him like start branches in different places because she loved fashion and she was always so stylish. So she didn't see herself as stuck in this career. She said, how can I use the skills that I have in an area that I'm passionate about? And the other thing is that some people get opportunities even where they didn't study. You could have easily gone into, let's say, you're not fashion, but only passionate about finance. Even when you find yourself in that place, you have to make that experience count for you so that you can use it in some way or another. So I think that's a very, very important point. And then obviously the point around networks and knowing that I can go and knock at a door. I find it interesting that you're saying you moved from one department to another because you knocked on a door, right? And a lot of people are sitting at their desks waiting for somebody, complaining and waiting for someone to say, here's an opportunity. But why don't you go and ask for those opportunities?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's really amazing. And now you are a mentor yourself. Tell me about you transitioning into a mentor. And I say transitioning because I remember when I approached you to join the Inspire Mentorship program, the first thing you said was, like, I've never mentored anyone. I don't think I have the experience. I don't think I have anything to offer. So what was the transition like for you? The process of saying, okay, I'm a mentor. Yeah.
I mean, it was through you approaching me and saying that this is something that you could be good at. And that's when I realized that we downplay so much of the things that we have accomplished in life. And you take for granted, just because you start from ground level, it is something. It counts for something. Every little thing that you do in your life is important. You need to pay attention, and you need to really immerse yourself in the process and trust that the outcome is great. It's for you. You know, whatever that is happening right now, it's preparing you for whatever that you don't even know about. So you must embrace it. And honestly, because I didn't have that starting up at work, I did not have that. I didn't have that at all, and it was so difficult for me in some instances where, honestly, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I felt, okay, I don't want to be here. What do I do? You know, when you're in the dark and you're trying to find your way and you're alone. So given there's fortunate people who can say, I started off here and then I was offered this and then now I'm here.
Everything was
You
so
know,
easy for
it
me.
was so easy for them.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't that easy for you, then there's so much that you can give to other people. There's so much that you can share with other people to say, hey, this is I was in a similar situation, or I am still in a similar situation, and this is how I'm going about it. How are you doing in your space? What can I do? How can you help me maneuver also in my own space? I mean, the way that I handle it is I don't give and don't get anything in return. It's a win-win situation for both of us. I am learning so much from my mentee. And she's learning so much from me as well. And we talk about the challenges that we're facing and how to maneuver across those challenges. How do we? It's been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life. Trust me. And it's meant so much to me. And I wish everybody could just be open-minded about it, to mentoring somebody.
And I think, like you say, everyone should know that they have something to share. I learned when I was still a trainee, we would go to high schools and would tell them about, because in South Africa, like black accountants are still not a thing. There's too little black accountants, so the profession is always trying to get more and more people to study accounting. So they would take us to schools and then we'd go and talk about accounting. And when I was a trainee, I felt like I have nothing to offer the world. But to a high school student, when you're standing there and you say, I work here, and they just look at you like, wow, she finished university. So it doesn't matter where you are. Like you say, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. There's somebody who wants to know your story, and there's somebody that can be inspired by you. And as you say, it's also a give and take. You also learn so much from your mentee, and I think that is so important. What are the 2 things you've learned from your mentee?
I have learned that in order for you to pick a career, it shouldn't necessarily be about, okay, I'm here and therefore I should move here next. But it's about filling in the gaps. We had this conversation with her recently about, I think when we first met, about what she wanted to do, what she wanted to study. And I asked her why. And she was like, no, I feel like because I'm here now, I need to move here and then become a CA. And I'm like, okay, so because now you're working, what do you think CA is what gaps is it going to fill for you? So she was saying, in terms of the technical aspect of it, I think I'm doing quite well. I'm already practicing this and all of that. And then I was saying, okay, can't you think of something else to study to fill in the gaps that you already have? How fortunate are you to have a job and then say, okay, in my job where I am right now, I am lacking in these areas, and then find a course that fills the gaps for you. Instead of we need to move away from the mentality that I am here now, so I have to be this and I have to be this and I have to be that. Because the world is changing so fast. I learned that for me was a moment that I learned that I should apply the same thing to myself.
To yourself.
We're having exactly. We're having this conversation. And it also I was speaking to her about it, and it also spoke to me in ways that, oh my God, this is making so much sense. I should also apply the same thing to myself, And I think the second thing that I learned is she considers herself to be shy, and I think I'm similar. But it's okay to be yourself the way you are. It's okay to embrace who you are as you are. She was so shy to talk to me. And I was like, how could she we have to learn to be so accepting of people as they are, as they come to you. Not to say you need to change, you need to be like this, you need to accept people the way they come to you and treat them with respect, irrespective of how they come to you.
How they are.
So that's also another thing that I was sharing with her, to say, don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't come down to anybody's level. If people are rude and doing whatever, that's the challenge she's going through right now, don't go down to that level.
Because you can't sustain that.
You cannot, because you don't know the space they're coming from. And it was so fascinating for me because I mean everything that we talk about, I turn it around and I look at myself. Where
It
am I
challenges
with
you.
this? How am I doing with this? Am I applying the same principles? So honestly, there's a whole lot that I'm learning from her. There's a whole lot that I have to read in order for me to respond to some of her questions. So if I give her a document to read, I have to read it as well, and I
So
have to
you can
understand
have a
it so that we
conversation
can have a
about it.
conversation. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. On the point about shyness, do you feel like, I feel like a lot of Basotho people are very shy, right? And I know like people don't believe me when I say I'm shy. Do you feel like being shy, or let me say, how do you navigate being shy and having to be in a work environment where you have to talk and, like you said, you have to go and approach somebody and say, I'm looking for an opportunity in your department? How do you deal with that? Because I found that that's also like a big barrier for people in terms of them progressing in their careers. You know, when somebody's just in a corner and they're like, no, I don't even want to talk. You know, how do you deal with that?
I mean, for me personally, it takes me so much time to contemplate, prepare, say what I'm gonna say, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've outgrown that so much where I am now because I mean, I'm literally forced to present to exco to all of these different people to present part of my job. So that has taken me out of that space where I would literally think about what are they thinking, am I making sense, and then you realize that some of the concepts that you're applying, some people don't even understand. They're not even hearing what you're saying. But honestly, it is a big barrier. I remember growing up, I was so shy. I couldn't put myself out there. And when it came time for, I was involved in UNICEF in a program that was meant to empower young girls and young boys together. You know, it was so fascinating to be in that space. But the opportunities that I missed because I was so shy and I couldn't put myself out there. Now, as I grow and become an adult and I'm aware of myself more, I realize that it doesn't serve anyone being shy. You're not going to get what you want. What do you want? How are you going to get it? Is this serving you towards what you want? And also having a child. I mean, the last thing that I want is for my child
For her to
be,
copy that.
like I want her to be out there and be comfortable with who she is and be like how she is right now. I love it so much and I pray that she stays that way. But
That's so deep. We're gonna get into
Yeah.
motherhood now, but it's so deep because I'm reading a book by Brene Brown that talks about vulnerability, and there's a chapter on parenting, and it says your kids can only become what you are. You know, so you can't. Basically, your child cannot be what you're not. So if you want your child to be confident, if you want your child to be disciplined, you need to, you know, embody that, because they're gonna watch you and they'll do exactly what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so powerful. And I also say to people that don't allow, one, don't define yourself too early in life. As you say, the more you practice, the less shy you become. Not really the less shy, but you become more self or less self-conscious or more self-aware, and you know, okay, if I'm going to be comfortable in the situation, I'm going to have to prepare. You know, I'm somebody that prepares a lot, over prepare, because I know if even if I go into a meeting and I know what to say, just because I didn't prepare, it's going to take away a bit of my confidence. So I want to make sure that I'm as confident as possible.
Yeah, and as prepared as you can be.
Exactly.
I think that's also the one thing that creates a lot of anxiety.
Yeah,
is lack of
not
preparedness.
being prepared. Yeah,
You know, when you think you know what you're going to talk about, and then you don't prepare. Like you need to be intentional with what you're going to say, from the opening remarks to the closing remarks to the body of what you're going to talk about. It's very important that you prepare and you are ready.
Yeah.
And when questions come up, you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen that even when you talk, even if you don't stick to the script, it's okay, because you have a bit of an idea on what you're going to say. Yeah. So I think, what I'm getting from you is that you did not let your shyness limit your potential. You said, I need to overcome this, and manage it to a certain level, you know, so that I can get ahead in life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really powerful. So coming to being a mom, right? What has your experience been of being a working mom? what I've observed is that, okay, sometimes I think you get moms who, I don't know, people that feel like as soon as I become a mom, like that's it. Like I'm not gonna go to school anymore. Like kids become an excuse for everything, right? What has your experience been for being a mom? And I mean everybody to their own, right? But I just want to know from your side, what has been your experience with being a mom and working and studying, I think. Yeah.
It's been a journey. I remember the first time that I realized that I was a mom. Was
You
literally
realized that you were a mom.
was when I held her for the first time.
Okay, yeah.
And all of these things came flooding through, like, what do I need to change? What do I need to do?
Yeah,
You know,
I can
it
relate
didn't really
to that.
click when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
It only clicked when she came. And I held her, and it was like, okay, so what do I do? I need to get my life in order. I need to wake up in the morning, take a bath, do all of these things. Like, dude, it didn't.
There was a lot of pressure. I can relate to
Like,
that.
there was a whole lot that I felt I needed to change in order to accommodate this person and to forge a way for her to copy and to follow. Whereas all you needed was just to be natural, you know. Be yourself, relax.
Yeah.
And when you're relaxed, it's so amazing how things take care of themselves somehow, you know.
So how do you manage now? How do you juggle between work and being a mom? If you have to juggle.
I don't have a nanny. I've never had a nanny.
Oh wow.
Lucky for me, when she was much younger, like from my maternity leave, my mother-in-law took over, took care of her until she was 2.
Oh wow.
And then when she turned 2, I took her to a daycare where I would drop her at 8 and pick her up at 5.
Yeah.
I'm constantly in a rush.
Yeah.
I'm constantly running against time. Like,
Yeah.
for for a lot of things, I'm late. Like, you know, preparing a toddler who would run around and do all. It's been so challenging, you know. And now I'm working from home full time because her schools are closed.
Yeah.
And I have to work from home. I don't have a choice. I have to work from home, you know. So in between meetings on Teams, she's in the background telling me to watch something Bluey is doing on like. But I just like the way that, is it the world or is it the way that people are so accommodating?
Yeah.
Because literally we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I have to be in a meeting and she has to be here because it's just the 2 of us at home right now.
Yeah.
The dad is stuck in Joburg, can't cross the border. So
yeah,
it is literally just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
So it has been so challenging. There are times when I wish the whole COVID could just disappear. She can go back to school, I can go back to work, you know. But I cannot overemphasize how grateful I am. I mean, there was never going to be anything other than COVID that could allow me to spend so much time with her.
Yeah.
To watch her every move, every development.
Yeah.
The way
I
that
feel
I'm
like they're
doing.
even more attached now. It's
They
like we're back
are.
to when they were like 1 year old.
Yeah.
But how do you, I don't know, how do you keep sane? How do you keep yourself mentally fit and not overwhelmed by all of this?
I mean, I have a lot of help. I have a lot of support from my mother.
Yeah.
I mean, she's there literally every step of the way. If I need somebody to look after her, if I have a really serious meeting that is going to be very interactive, she's there to help me with that. And also, I've read a lot of books about self-help books, about grounding yourself, about being positive, about embracing the moment that you're in right now. So I literally just wake up and look at this. I'm just so grateful to have her in my life.
Yeah.
It's not easy, I'm not going to lie, but I just look at her and I'm just amazed at how amazing she is.
Yeah.
And I celebrate her every step of the way.
Yeah.
But I clear my mind of all negative thoughts that may come. I try to clear my mind of, I meditate, I pray, I read a lot of books, I take time to myself just to unwind. I take her to my mother just to have a day or 2 just to myself. Just so when she comes back, I have the same energy that she has. So you need help, you need to get help, you need to have a support system that works.
What advice would you give to moms that feel like, ever since I had a child, like I've had to let go of my dreams? what would you say to them? Like people that are just maybe feeling discouraged
Yeah.
and they don't know how to, yeah, how do I continue fueling my passions, and my dreams, even now that I'm a mom?
I mean, the biggest motivator for me was the reason why I go after what I want is her. She's the biggest, she pushes me so much to do better, to pursue the things that I need to pursue. Because I've listened to a lot of people, like the previous person who was presenting to us in the previous meeting was involved in a lot of activities from so young that it just becomes second nature to them, Involve your kids in whatever you're doing. Get them in, take them along, like that's what you do. Like, take them along as long as you can. Just take them along in the journey that you're building for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with getting help. Get the person who's going to do your laundry. Get the person who's going to clean the house.
Don't feel bad about
Go
getting help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go to Pick and Pay and buy Papa Kamho if you have to and you can't cook, Get as much help as you can in order for you to cope. But at the end of the day, you're not doing yourself justice and you're not doing the baby justice if you neglect your life.
Yeah.
Because that's the picture that you're painting for your
child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're in the last part of this conversation, and I want to know, how do you keep up to date with all the things that are happening in your profession or in your industry?
I mean, as accounting standards change, there's no running away from that. We're laughing with my colleagues that there's going to be an accounting standard for COVID. There has to be some level of reporting that we abide to because of this.
Yeah.
It's a once in 100 years event, but it has turned our lives upside down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as the trends are changing, lucky for us in our space, you are forced to apply the standard. I mean, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So you whether you know about it or you don't, it's not a question.
You have to know about it. Yeah.
So for the organization that I work for, I mean, I'm so fortunate that if there's a new thing that's coming in, there's materials, there's people who are sitting somewhere preparing stuff for us to read, models, applying everything that needs to be applied for us to be able to apply the new thing that's coming in. And also I've realized that you need to be curious as a person. You need to, not just in your professional life, but holistically as a person, you need to be curious about the stuff that's going on. I mean, for the first time, we're learning the complexities of a vaccine coming into play. We take it for granted so much. There's a vaccine somewhere and we're just there lining up and taking it,
Yeah.
And now we know the dangers of that. We know, like, it wasn't just somebody who
how it
decided
happens. Yeah.
Like the world, the way that it's transitioning, it's forcing us to be curious, to know everything that's going on in your life, and to apply yourself as well. Read. I remember when I first started working, I was catching up with a friend of mine over drinks somewhere, and then she was saying, I had actually planned this time that I would be reading for work. And I asked her, what are you reading? What are you going to read? What do you mean for work? And she
get paid to read,
and she got in depth of what she was reading, and I took that away to say, oh my God, what am I doing?
It wasn't like it's a job requirement. She didn't have to read, but she was reading to make herself better. Wow.
There is so much information out there for us, and if you can just open yourself up to reading, just read what are the regulations requiring of this, whatever that you're in, what is the saying, how am I going to apply this in my space? If central bank is changing the interest rates, read about it. Even if it doesn't apply in your space, just gain the knowledge about what's going on around you. If there's a new topic that pops up, read about it. Just even if it's briefly, read about coding. Just be curious about what's going on around you. It's very important.
So as an accountant, we have to have this conversation. As you know, with the way technology is evolving, a lot of what we do, I don't even call myself an accountant anymore, but yeah, a lot of what we do is going to be, it's already being like you're able to automate it, right? Do you feel like you as Seboka will still be relevant in the next 10, 20 years? Or do you feel like you need to think of a different career in order to deal with all the changes that are happening in the profession?
I mean, that's also another one where, in order for you to decide what to study, those are the factors that you need to really think about. What's next for you? What's the next big thing in the accounting field? What's the next big thing in the world generally that we live in? And you need to align yourself to that. There's no running away. I mean, you can stick to your old ways all you want,
Yeah.
but the world, as it's changing, as it's moving, it's forcing you to transition with it. You don't have a choice. So yes, stuff is being automated. Lucky for us, we still have our jobs, even though it is being automated. I mean, there's always going to be a need for human intervention here and there, obviously. But what's happening, what is required of you as a person is to embrace the change, move along with the change. Don't be too rigid. Don't hold on too firmly to what you know, what has been working all along. But open yourself up to changes. If now I need to study something else, still be an accountant and study something else that is completely unrelated to accounting, but it's more in the lines of technology. Then you have to be open to that. Yes.
Yeah. What I love is how I see basically how the accounting profession is really preparing for this. I've seen, like, I'm a member of SICA and LIA, and they have all these amazing courses on their different platforms where they teach you about AI and blockchain and all these technologies, and basically teaching you how they're going to affect your job, and those are the type of courses that I like to take now, or read about, or like topics that I like to read about. So I think, I mean, like you said, even employers are putting together materials for people to read. So I think, yeah, as you say, curiosity is
and I just did a mental note for what you're talking about now, because it means, to me, it says I have to go to those sites. I have to see what is happening there. I need to know what is trending now that I need to study. You know? Let's not be so rigid to say this you're here and this is where you need to go, and be open to whatever that is new that is coming along. And learn as much as you can.
What book has had the most impact on your life? If I know that's not a fair question because books are so good. What's the one book that you can think about?
The first book that I bought was The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's the first book that I ever bought with my own money. So it has I hold it so dearly to my heart because it paved the way for me for a lot of decisions that I make in my life, not just professionally, but all round. I mean, if I start something, I need to already see the end of it. Where do I see it? And then how am I going to get there? It's paved. I hold it so close to my heart because it's literally the first book that I bought. But also, I feel like the principles, the concepts of the book are still so relevant even now. It is
the one principle that stands out for you?
Begin with the end in mind. Like it speaks to me all the time. If I'm going to pursue anything, I'm a no person. But after I read that book,
you need to read. I think Shonda Rhimes is the Year of Yes.
Yes, I read it.
So and you're still a no person.
No, I'm slowly transitioning to being open to concepts.
Just playing around.
Yes. So that book literally paves the way for a lot of things that I do. Because I guess when I read it, when you want to be like a person who reads, you take notes, you have a notebook, you do all of that. I literally did that with that book. And ever since I read it, it has literally just shaped my approach towards a lot of things in life. If I'm starting a friendship, if I'm meeting a new person, a friend, I'm already trying to say, okay, being intentional now to say how is it going to translate later on? How do I see it progressing? So that's the one book that I always go back to in terms of, okay, what do I do? How do I decide my life? Yes.
Okay, cool. So last question. You're the first person I'm asking this question, but I'm gonna ask it going forward. So yay. What does it mean to be a Mosotho for you? and to be living in Lesotho at this time, 2020. What does it mean for you to be here in this country and to be a Mosotho?
I am proud. I'm so proud to be a Mosotho, to be honest with you. I haven't always been. There were times when I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Like I could give anything to leave. But I think we get stuck in the emotions of what is going on, that we don't realize how much we need it for this country. Like if you go anywhere else, they already have their own things going on, their systems and their whatever.
And we also wanted tomorrow. It should be perfect tomorrow.
You know?
Yeah.
But what better opportunity than to grow in a space where you have to forge a way, you know? Like I honestly believe that if you can make it in Lesotho, you can make it anywhere. I do believe that. I mean, but I love being in Lesotho, and I love being in Lesotho because there's so many opportunities for growth. There's so much that needs to be done. We're not developed, we're developing. So when you're developing, it says, what can you develop? Find something in your space that you can develop, that you can see through, that is going to impact not just yourself, but I'm cautious about how my daughter speaks. She watches a lot of cartoons, she speaks a lot of English. So now I'm at a point where I am speaking to her in Sesotho because I know she can grasp both languages.
Yeah.
You know? It means we're growing international children who should not just be limited to Lesotho, where it's cool not to know Lesotho. If you're international, you need to know what, and you're a Mosotho, and your name is
connected to
your roots.
Yeah.
Your name is Seboka. What does it mean? You can't even pronounce it, and you can't even speak your own language. So, but honestly speaking, there is so many. Yes, it looks like there isn't much to be. There isn't structure and all of that. And as young people, what is it saying to us as young people in terms of where it will be us tomorrow who will be in charge of making all these policies, who will be in charge of making all these decisions? You know,
are we going to be any different?
Are we going to be any different? How are we grooming ourselves to make our country better for our children and for us as well? You know, so it's a complex space, but it is one that we need to really think about as young people. How are you investing your time now for a better tomorrow? Are you sure you'll be different tomorrow? Are you sure you're going to be a different leader tomorrow? And how are you preparing for that now? Yes.
Wow. Powerful note to end off on. As I say, usually we are born for such a time as this. That's my favorite scripture in the Bible. So yeah, that's a powerful note. I mean, I have nothing more to add. Thank you so much for joining us. This was, one of the most amazing, or one of the amazingest, no, one of the most amazing conversations we've had here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hosting you again very soon. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week, Monday at 4:30, from 4:30 to 5:30, where we'll be featuring one of our mentors in the Inspire Mentorship program for our Mentorship Monday sessions. If you have any questions, you can write to us on Facebook, leave us comments, tell us what topics you want us to cover in our conversations in the future. See you again next week. Thank you.